Yes. Everyone here's got a superpower. Bringing that, to what we're doing. Okay, so real quick intro to the Artifice team. I think the first time I met Chuck, it was in New York. We were in Brooklyn, and it was part of our VPS World Tour that we were doing last year. So this is kind of a cool developer story because it's not just like large established teams that I get to work with on the managed partner side. Managed partner is what we call a set of developers that are having like a full Lightship production. They've dedicated budget, resourcing, their own developers, and committed to putting a game out all the way to shipping it. We believe in that vision, small teams, and getting to know the guys has been really fun. It's something that really got me excited about their game, and they'll probably talk more about it, but collectible card games and AR, what is that like? Taking familiar behaviors that we've experienced in either console or other mobile gameplay, and then how do you make that meaningful in AR? Sometimes we have a tendency to try to think 5 years in the future, really wild kind of new AR geolocated behaviors. But what we actually see is that people find comfort in familiar gameplay mechanics. Things that they've experienced before in mobile gameplay, but with a twist. And that's something that I love that this team is bringing to the table. So give it up one more time for Artifice. Take it away, guys.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me okay? Perfect. So that was a great opener. Good warm up there. So I think, what we're trying to achieve here is really something ubiquitous, right? So this project started with a simple question, which was, what if you could take everyday tasks that you're already doing, right? Things that you do in your daily life. You're walking your dog, you go to the gym, you go get a cup of coffee, and make those tasks gamified, right? Make them more fun, make them more engaging, and then offer a way to reward you. Because if there's something I'm doing already, and you give me a chance to be rewarded for it, and I'm already doing it, I'm probably gonna be interested in jumping on board. So diving into this, essentially our ecosystem has three key elements, right? It's AR geospatial, and what that does is it allows us to essentially augment your world, right? What we love about Lightship and AR in general is we're not asking you to enter our world. We're able to just go into yours and add a meaningful mechanism to make it more fun, more engaging, and also rewarding. And that's the gamification part, right? So AR, geospatial, gamification come together, and then they meet with incentive rewards. And the idea is that these are meaningful rewards to the player. So it's not necessarily just things like currencies, right? It could be that you're into health and fitness, and you're able to find a voucher for a pair of shoes after you run a marathon, right? There's a lot of different ways that you can play this. But again, it's all about meeting them in AR on their level. And I think that's what's so cool about AR. It's literally, I was trying to figure out exactly how to say this, and then I was oh yeah, augmented reality, right? That's kind of what it is. So our portfolio here, we've got three pieces that are sort of at the core. So we've got Centivizer, and this is a health and movements-based rewards app that essentially lets you earn cash for every step you take, and you can spend it on a debit card. Super cool. A lot of work in the healthcare space. I'm like a Pokemon player from the early days, and we didn't have Pokemon Go, so I actually had to go out and try to find the best corollary. So I became a herpetologist and started catching venomous snakes all over the world. Side story. Should have come out with Go earlier. Could have saved my parents some stress. And then product two is Cash, right? And this is a little play on geocaching. It's essentially, it's a way to link up, brands are spending money every day on marketing, right? What if we could take a portion of that, channel it to the user as rewards, gamify it, put it in AR, and let you basically participate in AR scavenger hunts for anything from, a buy one, get one on some donuts to a car, or tickets to a cruise, a flight ticket. So sort of a limitless canvas of options there, but the crux of it is AR treasure hunts for physical prizes in the digital world. And then Hunt is really the sort of passion project for all of our nerds on the team, myself included. I'm a Pokemon guy. The idea of being able to play Pokemon or a card game and bring it to life in AR is really, really compelling, right? And I always think about the Star Wars chess game where the guy gets up, walks across the board, and socks the other creature, knocks him out. If I could play, Pokemon as a kid, throw a card down, the creature comes to life, and goes and battles another creature, be pretty compelling, right? Pretty amazing stuff. That is possible. So that's Hunt. Hunt is really a story-driven AR mobile game, and things that you're finding and catching out in the real world, you get as collectible cards, and then you can battle them in this trading card game. So I'm going to just show a quick video that sort of shows how all this comes together, and then I'm going to hand over to Chuck to talk about the development and how it's actually made.
Centervisor and Artifice Studios have partnered to create an exciting digital game that allows you to explore your world for hidden prize crates, while earning money with every step you take through movement-based rewards. Our ecosystem lies in the combination of gamification, incentive rewards, and AR geocaching technology. We're making everyday tasks rewarding in a play-to-earn atmosphere. Our innovative model allows businesses to channel a portion of their marketing dollars directly to the consumer as digital vouchers for physical prizes. In other words, we pay for your play. As Centervisor and Artifice Studios, you deserve to be rewarded. Welcome to the future of gaming.
Talk mainly about Hunt because that's the core game, and again is a game development conference. Oops, sorry. Can you guys hear me all right? Yeah, so I'm going to talk more about Hunt, which is our gaming experience. And our focus has been, from the start, we found Lightship. So back in, it was like November 2022, I think, was the first one. Or maybe it was 21. I don't know, whatever. 21? All right. So it's been a while. So we've been working with Lightship for quite some time. And one of the things that we got really excited about after working in kind of the geospatial AR field for quite some time is the meshing and the ability to have an entirely dynamic kind of world and actually interact with that world, through this persistent meshing. So we can place things, creatures in specific areas. We can have some cool game mechanics where we can ricochet stuff off of like real world buildings and things like that to enhance the gameplay. So between that, using some of the things like the depth checking for placement, we can determine how far away or how close creatures are. And then the occlusion where they could be hiding behind trees or different objects and things like that. So, a couple of the future features that we're really excited about that we've seen from the ARDK is the game board, smart placement, and then also we can actually set up our creatures to have intelligent navigation around a specific area. Another really powerful thing with our creatures, we've kind of went with this elemental energy-based, attacks and things like that. We want to keep the game very friendly, so there's no blood and gore. It's all kind of energy depletion, energy usage, and things like that. So with semantic segmentation, if you guys have looked at that, we can determine, are we on grass, could have a nature-powered creature, are we on concrete or dirt? We could have something that's more, like rock elementals. And then also too, water features, if there's water nearby, we can have creatures that spawn that have the kind of the water power. So one of the more exciting things, again, we've kind of been a geospatial company and working on geospatial apps for many, many years, is as we were developing down this path, we started using ARDK, and we were attempting to use, like Google Maps, we used some of the Mapbox 3D mapping, and we also used a platform called World 3D, WRLD 3D. And they worked pretty good, but they didn't really have the continuity that we wanted. And also, too, we had all these different, in our Unity packages, all these different packages from all the different vendors, and it was getting a little heavy. So thankfully, at the tour up in Brooklyn, for the VPS tour, they introduced us to the Lightship maps, and we got in their beta program, and basically haven't really looked back. And one of the things that, as Joe was talking about before, is we realized that our game experience can extend beyond just our Unity and our mobile application, but actually can be engaged through the web. And You know, the Eighth Wall team did an amazing job with their web map. We couldn't believe how performant that was running in a browser. And if anybody wants to take a look, I can show you kind of this actually running on my phone just to see how fast this actually works. So the other big aspect, you know, when we learned about VPS was now we can have actually targeted locations that we can pre-scan and actually very definedly put things like loot crates, things like collectible objects. So that was giving us an advantage of working with some of the partners and brands that we're talking with to be able to actually locate things near them, you know, even to kind of like enhance just what you're seeing. Could be by their logo if they wanted and things like that. And then we also brought in, so we could have some just unique things there. Instead of just the standard player, we did the Ready Player Me, so you can create your own custom character that walks around in our map interface. So, and as I talked about a little bit about the VPS, we actually are testing out some stuff and really excited about the scanning framework. One of the features there is that we'll allow our players to be able to capture and bring in custom areas of their own. So, and again, also be part of kind of the Niantic VPS Lightship in their geospatial browser. And I'm going to turn this over now to Max. Max is our creative director and has done some, I think you'll find some very creative art and graphics in some of the 3D creature design.
Thanks, Chuck. Hey, everyone. Glad to be here. Yeah, so a big part of Hunt is the actual world building, which we've been working on since day one. And what you're being shown in the background is our Arc Spectre. He's one of the creatures that promptly is part of the outline story. We have Ceres in the foreground. We don't see her here, but maybe on the previous slide here. She's kind of like our Neo in our world building. So think of it, you're walking around, you're hunting creatures, but that creature is part of an ecosystem that is beyond our world. So it's a 3-point ecosystem where we have Artifice. It's more a fantasy-based world where you have dragons and stuff like that, similar to Dungeons and Dragons. We have the cyberpunk-ish world, which is another point where these characters come from, Ceres and their gang, and they're basically being taken over by these creatures, and they want to help us out in our world so that it doesn't happen to us like it did to them. So that's how we introduce these characters in the storyline in the background while you're playing. So this is basically one of the creatures that Ceres captured and is kind of her henchman, if you will, and she carries him around the world and on her adventures, and this really ties into like graphic novels, other like potential video games, board games, card games, whatnot. So that's where we really were aiming for, like, to create this environment where you can relate and bump into these characters in your AR environment, and they'll just give you tips on how to move forward, create like a better character, a better build, join a faction to try and zero in on certain types of creatures. And then you go into the whole skin, concept of how you can build your character and collect your creatures. On the right side here, we've got every like background world has an evil corporation. That's our Red Sea Corporation. They're behind schemes in the alternate reality that is the cyberpunk issue we call Earth Prime at this time. So these are like creatures that are designed with the AR environment in first place. So it has to work in the AR, and then we retro create towards the trading card game so that the same creature can live in the AR environment and on your card that you're collecting or any other medium that you want to treat. So there's recognizability across the whole board for our creatures and our characters. Again, main characters that we're working with, so that would be the main team that can come into your experience, give you tips. We got our Beastmaster, the guy that's kind of in between the factions, trying to pull strings for you. So this, and then we have all these environments where, on the left side you've got like the Earth Prime environment, but on the right side that's more like environments from the Artifice world where the creatures actually come from. And so these are not just generic creatures, they have a home world, and part of your mission is to send them back because you want to close these rifts, because that's what's happening to the cyberpunk world. So I'm a bit all over the place here for the story, but it's to show you how deep it is and how we're moving into this ecosystem where everything relates and everything has a reason. So it opens up a lot of possibilities for storytelling in different mediums. This is basically showing you this Arc Spectre but in a card play environment. So these are like mechanics that we're working on in style and how we can interpret this in the physical and digital world. So a lot of possibilities there. And this is basically like how the Incentivizer app works with this. I don't know if like Chuck, you wanted to, or Jordan, you want to lead into this? Because we're like, that was the hunt, so I'm just going to pass it on. So thank you.
Thanks, Max. That was awesome. Yeah, I'll just the sort of simple answer is it's almost like background earnings, right? So you're already getting out searching for creatures, right? Same way I go catch snakes. You're looking for digital creatures. You're completing quests. By integrating Incentivizer, you're able to sync that up to your movement data, sync it up to your app. You're already going out. It goes back to that whole concept of these are things you're already doing, right? If you're a player in our game, you're already doing this. If we can give you a way to earn some money to go buy a coffee at your favorite coffee shop along the way, I think it's a value add for the user. So that's where that integration comes. So I think that is it, right, Chuck?
But yeah, the cache is the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this, and actually what Jordan is showing you between Incentivizer and the cache, so we're trying to blend a lot of that. We've always kind of believed in this digital and physical. Again, one of the aspects that we understand from gamers are, we buy the loot crates, we buy bags, we fill them up. I mean, at some point that becomes very powerful and very exciting for us. So there's a value, but at the same time, as we're kind of, we get these video game assets, we can't really do anything else with them. So we also want to, through Incentivizer and the cache, is engage with brands so they can run special events and things like that. We actually do get to win physical prizes and things like that. So that's kind of the whole concept of our ecosystem, is to be able to tie all that together. And again, we're going for the gameplay and the fun first, and the kind of incentives and brands and things like that is a secondary thing. Because, we're kind of in that world now where everybody got into the excitement about NFTs and things like that. And more of the play to earn, we're really more of like, we pay you to play. So as you play, and Incentivize, I have over $100 just walking around in Vegas, shows and different things like that, literally by hooking up my Apple Watch data to the Incentivizer app. So in conjunction with that, you'll be able to buy real goods and also digital goods in our ecosystem.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Chuck. And yeah, I think our litmus test is it is absolutely fun first, and like we are all hardcore gamers. So if it's not something that we would enjoy, like it's not going in essentially. And that seems to be a pretty effective rule so far. So yeah, and lastly, I just want to say thank you so much for having us up here. We absolutely love the platform and we're excited. So thank you.